Well, hello, this is Tom Sanger, and it is 7/3/14 right now. I want to go through a few of my experiences having to do with the ET phenomenon. They all started back in 1988 in Seattle, and they are continuing all the way up until last night, as a matter of fact. So they are ongoing. I'm going to keep some of the stuff very brief because otherwise it'll be going on forever. So my experiences started very traumatically back in 1988, but I very quickly realized that the experience can't be all negative. So I put myself out in the environment and said, okay, do what you want to do with this, what the heck, and we'll see where it goes. So I go out into the wilderness area about 45 miles east of Seattle and spend the night out there. And I had massive missing time to where I could barely drive my car home and various things like this. But what I got out of it was oddly enough, the concept of a row of lights, which was very odd, didn't know what that meant, and loss of pyramids. So I had, as many times as I went out there and all the obvious missing time I had, I only had two concepts that came out of that. So it made no sense at the time. So it all evolved more in a positive way from the traumatic beginnings and ended up going to a mountain called Pleiades up in Washington State, up on the Canadian border. And we had a significant experience up there in, I believe it was September of '89, where a light showed up, and I thought it was an airplane, but then it did a 90-degree and up over our heads. Now, what was significant was I had brought the book UFO Contact from Reticuli, a reticulum or reticuli, and I was just about to read out of that book because I had a feeling that my earlier experiences out in the wilderness area in Issaquah had to do with little guys from Zeta Reticuli. So now this UFO shows up, does a 90-degree angle while I'm in the midst, just beginning to read this book to my friend. So that kind of confirmed that, yes, indeed, these guys are from Zeta Reticuli. In 1996 or somewhere in there, I began doing receiving regression session works from a professional therapist here in Tucson. And lo and behold, we found that incident. There was big missing time, and we were indeed on board with a little guy about 4 feet tall from Zeta Reticuli. And he took us out, showed us the planet from off the planet, so you could see the entire planet, and gave us a little mini lecture. But we had our minds blocked on the information he gave us, willingly blocked. So none of the stuff that had occurred, even in Issaquah, was against my will. It was not an abduction. It was cooperation on my part, and it appeared that what had happened in the Issaquah area was that I was downloaded with vast amounts of information, but then agreed to have my mind blocked on that until it was the proper time to have it released. So that brings us up more into present time, and on June 16th of 2013, a friend and I were out in Sabino Canyon, which is right on the northeast edge of Tucson, and you can go out there at night and walk on the tram road. And we're out a little over a mile, and we look up and see this light going across the edge of this mountain called Blacketts Ridge. And I didn't know it at the time, but there's people go hike up there at night, so it could have been a hiker. But we looked down at the road again for snakes, rattlesnakes, and then looked back up, and the light's proceeding. Looked down again, and lo and behold, there's a UFO up there. And this is 0.4 miles away from us. I Googled Earth it, so under half a mile. And this thing had to have been 60 to 80 feet wide. This is at 9 at night, and you could see sky below it, meaning it was not on the ridge line. There was a bright strobing white light on the right side, and you could see, really looked like almost like a bar going across, and then a little dull red light on the left. But that was all very faint. The white light was quite bright. It was morphing. It wasn't in a going in a rhythmical pattern. This thing was stopped right there. It was not a helicopter. It was not an airplane. It was what it was. And I looked over. Well, I mean, we were dumbfounded, and we had about a minute to watch this thing. But I looked over at my friend and I said, you know, my little contact guys are from Zeta Reticuli. So when I said Zeta, the light went out completely. And when I said Reticuli, it made this huge burst. My friend said it actually lit up the side of the mountain to some degree. We may have had missing time because neither one of us exactly remembers how it left. I sort of have in my mind that the light got smaller and just kind of fizzled away, sort of, but I don't know. So that brings us up even to closer to present time. And we were just out at Sabino Canyon last night, no less. And we're out there for a couple hours, nothing is happening. And I start telling my friend out there the story I've just told you right now about the history of all this and the blocked information and the Zeta Reticuli sort of contact scenarios. And even though we had been out there 2 hours and hadn't even seen a satellite and barely an airplane, right when I'm telling them this big glow occurs right over the Catalinas, and it goes out, and then blam, it's on again, and then off again, and then on again and off again. But it was moving. The light was moving from the top of the sky, or actually partway up over the mountains, down pretty low over the mountains, but far out. But this was a big flash it was making, and then lo and behold, it flashed about 4 times, and then we saw it flash up at its original position from where we saw it, which was, to me, their way of saying, yeah, we're pretty loose in space and time. So that was not an airplane, a satellite, lightning bugs. This was, we're observing this light in the sky that's very bright and very big, flashing, but no object. So that totally confirmed to me, with all these instances having to do with Zeta Reticuli, that's our guys. And part of the downloaded information that has been uploaded, especially after our sighting last year in June, I had a huge, you might say, upload of information for about 3 days. And this is why I'm making the video. Apparently, the little guys from Zeta Reticuli, not to be confused with the guys from Zeta Reticuli who do all the abductions. They apparently had a big split in their civilization a long time ago, and you've got these guys under mind control on the wrong side of the fence and doing abductions and all that. Forget about those guys. These guys are a chosen liaison group who are going to be the primary liaison for disclosure for our planet. And this guy's about 4 feet tall with the big eyes and all that. But from the regression session, we're talking about an extreme intelligence, very lively, animated, sense of humor, and the whole deal. So he's not the stereotypical stoic alien from the movies that we see all the time. But these guys are the chosen liaison group between other ET groups and Earth humans. So that's their job, is to do this liaison work. So now part of the uploaded information is how they are going to do this and why they showed up as a bar on the June 2013 incident over the mountain. They are going to use a row of lights. Now remember that from way back in 1988, row of lights, which I didn't understand. They are going to use a row of lights, and they will use it as a communication device. So you will be able to ask them questions, and they will be able to make answers with agreed upon protocols, you might say. And for all I know, they might use Morse code or something in order to send, longer communications, that sort of thing. But they are going to keep a nice, safe distance of half mile, something like that. so that people feel very safe and not threatened. And they're going to begin doing these communications in areas that are highly aesthetic. So Sabino Canyon is an extremely aesthetic area. And once you know, I get a phone call, right? What are the odds of that right in the middle of it? So I guess we'll continue anyway. So anyway, I'm turning my phone off. I should have thought of that. So anyway, they're going to be the liaison group. They are going to do these light displays and communication events in very aesthetic areas, Sabino Canyon, and also up at Mount Baker, where we go, where the Pleiades Mountain is. These are big parking lots where a lot of people can see these events. And the advantage to them doing it in this way is it takes government out of it, takes the hucksters in the UFO field out of it, takes everything out of it. It's a direct communication with people on the ground that no one can alter or tinker with or claim that it's, they have inside information to communicating with ETs. So these ETs are going to be able to communicate directly with the average person, and they're going to do it in a very gradual, safe way that also looks incredibly cool, which is what we have been experiencing out there with these big lights and various displays that they've been doing. It is absolutely fantastic. So that's how they're going to do it. I think it's going to be very gradual. I have the kind of downloaded or uploaded information that phase 1 is over. Phase 1 was the gradual, over the years, kind of what would you call it, infusing or something of the ET concept of ETs into the general populace's psyche. So movies and this and that, little sightings here and there, and YouTube videos, and this and that and the other thing, documentaries and all that. So there's an awful lot of people on this planet who feel just fine about ETs being out there. And there's a surprisingly large amount who would welcome being able to go out to a place like that and have these safe communication exercises with them, I guess you might say. So phase 1 was just kind of a big mess. It was just filtering in all this stuff where ETs become more acceptable to the general populace. Phase 2 is where they begin to do these actual communication and sighting events, where they are absolutely definitive. So no more of, what is that little light in the YouTube video, or what is this, or what is that, and why do I have these marks on my body? Was I abducted? Was I this? Was I that? Did I have, there's nothing definitive up to this point. They have given me the information that, yes, this is phase 2. They're going to be definitive about it. You go out there, there is no doubt what you're looking at. You're not looking at the International Space Station. You're not looking at an airplane, lightning bugs, or anything like that. And you're going to be able to communicate with them. So that makes total sense. I can't think of a better way that they could do disclosure. And it is such a brilliant idea that I know it's not mine. So I think it was downloaded a long time ago in 1988 with this concept of a row of lights. And now phase 2, we're entering into that. And I think we're going to be able to do these communications. Now tomorrow is 4th of July. The irony, if they decided to do some beginning displays where there's no doubt about what people are looking at fireworks displays, that would be very cool. But anyway, this is the information I've gotten. I've been going through this for over 25 years, and I have never made a prediction. So I'm not the predicting type of earth changes or this or that or blah, blah, blah. This is not a prediction. per se. It's more like information that makes sense about. I mean, it's sort of a prediction, but it's more like logical information that has been verified by the way they've done their uh, experiences with me. And I think we can look for this in the future. If I'm wrong, no big deal to me. So that's just the way it is. So thank you for listening, and hopefully they will be doing these events and you can participate. Thank you.